The sun hung low in the sky over Ramri Island, casting an orange hue across the waters of the Bay of Bengal. It was February 1945, and the island was a crucial strategic point in the Pacific theater of World War II. As the Japanese forces fortified their positions, the Allied troops were poised to launch an offensive aimed at reclaiming the island. The air was thick with tension, a palpable sense of anticipation hanging over the soldiers who had come to liberate this tropical landscape from its occupiers. Yet, lurking beneath the surface of this conflict was a threat far more primal than the bullets and bombs of war. In the early days of the assault, the Allied forces landed on the island, their boots sinking into the muddy earth as they pushed forward against the entrenched Japanese positions. The soldiers were met with fierce resistance, and the battles raged on, each day marked by the sounds of gunfire and explosions. Amidst the chaos, the dense mangroves and swamps of Ramri Island concealed a different kind of danger, one that had remained largely unnoticed by the soldiers who were preoccupied with their immediate enemy. Crocodiles, ancient predators that had existed for millions of years, thrived in the brackish waters of the island. The saltwater crocodile, in particular, was a formidable creature capable of growing up to 20 feet long and weighing over a ton. These reptiles were apex predators, and the island provided them with ample hunting grounds. As the battles intensified, the sounds of conflict disturbed the natural order. The gunfire echoed across the landscape, and the vibrations of the explosions rippled through the waters, sending the crocodiles into a frenzy. On the ground, the Japanese soldiers found themselves trapped, their positions compromised by the relentless advance of the Allied forces. As they retreated, they fled into the mangrove swamps, seeking refuge from the advancing enemy. Little did they know that the very environment they sought to escape would become their greatest adversary. The marshy terrain was home to hundreds, if not thousands, of crocodiles, and the commotion of war had awakened them from their slumber. The first encounters were chaotic. As the Japanese soldiers stumbled through the thick underbrush, they were met not only by the threat of enemy fire, but also by the lurking shadows beneath the water's surface. The crocodiles, drawn by the sounds of distress and the scent of blood, began to emerge. Their powerful jaws, capable of crushing bone, snapped shut with terrifying precision. The soldiers, caught between the advancing allies and the hungry reptiles, were forced to confront an unimaginable horror. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the chaos of battle turned into a nightmarish struggle for survival. The cries of men echoed through the swamps, a cacophony of fear and desperation. The crocodiles, sensing vulnerability, launched their attacks with ruthless efficiency. The soldiers, already weary from combat, found themselves fighting a battle on two fronts. Those who managed to evade enemy gunfire were not safe from the jaws of death that lurked just beneath the surface of the murky waters. In the darkness, the sounds of the island transformed. The gunfire faded into the background, replaced by the guttural growls of crocodiles and the splashes of water as they lunged at their prey. The Japanese soldiers, once united in their efforts against the Allies, now faced a primal terror that shattered their resolve. Panic spread like wildfire, and the swamp became a graveyard, littered with the remnants of a battle they had not anticipated. As the days passed, the situation grew increasingly dire. The crocodiles, emboldened by the chaos, became relentless in their pursuit. Survivors recounted tales of comrades being dragged beneath the water, their screams cut short as they vanished into the depths. The very landscape that had once seemed idyllic now transformed into a hellish nightmare. The soldiers, disoriented and terrified, struggled to find their footing in the dark, murky waters, where every step could lead to a deadly encounter. Among the soldiers was a young private named Takashi, who had enlisted with dreams of honor and glory. As he fought alongside his comrades, he had never envisioned the horrors that awaited them on Ramri Island. The sound of gunfire had been replaced by the chilling silence of the swamp, punctuated only by the occasional splash of a crocodile claiming its next victim. Takashi watched in disbelief as friends were consumed by the very forces of nature they had underestimated. The weight of despair settled heavily on his shoulders, and he grappled with the futility of their situation. In the midst of the carnage, Takashi found himself separated from his unit. Alone and disoriented, he stumbled through the underbrush, desperately searching for a way to escape the madness. The sounds of battle were now distant echoes, replaced by the haunting calls of the crocodiles. Each rustle in the foliage sent shivers down his spine, and he could feel the primal fear gripping his heart. He had heard the stories of the island's crocodiles, but the reality was far more terrifying than any tale. As night fell, the darkness enveloped him, and he became acutely aware of the dangers lurking in the shadows. The air was thick with humidity, and the stench of decay filled his nostrils. He could hear the low growls of the crocodiles, their eyes glinting in the moonlight as they patrolled their territory. Takashi clutched his rifle tightly, knowing that it was useless against these ancient predators. The realization washed over him. He was no longer a soldier in a war. He was prey in a ruthless game of survival. In the days that followed, the crocodile attacks escalated. The survivors, now a ragtag group of soldiers, banded together in a desperate attempt to evade the predators. They moved cautiously through the swamps, their senses heightened, every sound amplified by fear. The once bustling camaraderie of their unit had been replaced by a somber understanding of their shared plight. They were not just fighting for their lives against enemy forces. They were engaged in a battle against nature itself. As they navigated the treacherous terrain, they encountered the remnants of their fallen comrades. The sight of bodies, half submerged in the water, served as a grim reminder of the fate that awaited them. Each day was a struggle for survival, and the crocodile attacks became more frequent. The soldiers devised makeshift strategies, attempting to distract the predators with noise or movement, but their efforts were often in vain. The crocodiles were relentless, and the swamp had become a hunting ground where the odds were stacked against them. One fateful night, as the moon hung high in the sky, the group found themselves cornered. They had taken refuge in a small clearing, hoping to catch their breath and regroup, but the sounds of their movements had not gone unnoticed. The crocodiles, drawn by the scent of sweat and fear, began to gather at the edges of the clearing. Takashi could feel the tension in the air, a primal instinct warning him of the impending danger. As the first crocodile lunged from the water, chaos erupted. The soldiers fired their rifles, but the bullets seemed to have little effect on the armored beasts. The air was filled with the sounds of gunfire, screams, and the wet, sickening thud of bodies hitting the ground. Takashi fought with every ounce of strength he had left, but the sheer ferocity of the crocodiles was overwhelming. One by one, his comrades fell, dragged into the depths of the swamp, their cries echoing in the night. In the midst of the chaos, Takashi found himself face to face with a massive crocodile. Its eyes bore into his soul, and for a fleeting moment, time stood still. He felt a surge of primal fear, a recognition of the ancient battle between man and nature. In that moment, he understood the futility of their struggle. The crocodile lunged, and instinct took over. Takashi dodged, narrowly escaping the snapping jaws, but he knew that he could not outrun the inevitable. As dawn broke over Ramri Island, the carnage began to subside. The survivors, battered and broken, emerged from the chaos. The once vibrant landscape was now a graveyard, a testament to the horrors they had endured. The crocodiles, having feasted on the remnants of the battle, retreated back into the depths of the swamp, leaving behind a silent reminder of their power. In the aftermath, the stories of the Ramri Island crocodile massacre became legend. The survivors returned to their units, forever marked by the horrors they had witnessed. The encounter with nature had stripped away their illusions of control, revealing the fragility of human existence in the face of primal forces. The island, once a strategic point in a global conflict, had become a symbol of the unpredictable and often brutal relationship between humanity and the natural world. As the years passed, the tale of the crocodile massacre grew, embellished by the retellings of those who had survived. It became a cautionary story, a reminder of the dangers of underestimating nature. The island itself transformed into a place of intrigue, drawing adventurers and historians alike, eager to uncover the truth behind the legend. The crocodiles, now part of the island's lore, continued to thrive in the waters, a reminder of the ancient forces that had once claimed so many lives. In the end, the events on Ramri Island served as a stark reminder of the duality of existence, the beauty and brutality of nature, the fragility of human life, and the unyielding power of the natural world. The crocodile massacre was not merely an incident of war. It was a profound encounter with the raw, untamed forces of nature that had shaped the course of history.